Well, hello everyone. It's Deb Naylor with the Flying Stamper, and I'm here today to go over the projects from the second celebrations class for my virtual attendees. Thank you so much for attending. I truly appreciate you. And I'm going to start out with going over the supply list and a couple of other things, and then we'll jump into the projects. So the first thing I want to tell you is that I am giving away 3 of these stamp sets in your words. I took all the attendees and bundled your orders together, and I was able to get 3 stamp sets either from the Celebrations catalog with a $300 order. So I'll be giving away 1 at each in-person session. And there are 6 of you virtually attending, so I'm going to scatter your names, 2 in each session. So you have an opportunity to win this too. And once those drawings are done, then I will have your kits available for porch pickup, or I will mail them out, whatever option you have chosen. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew, if you were attending virtually, that you do have an opportunity to win one of these stamp sets. So good luck, everyone. Okay, next up is I kind of want to go over the supply list, because I know some of you guys kind of like to do your stamping with me. So I'm going to go over the projects and tell you what you should grab. So for this one, the only thing that you're going to need is a black pad. I use some Memento Tuxedo black, but any black pad will do. You could even use red if you preferred. And then 1 sentiment that will fit into the label punch. So this is a Christmas card, so you might want to look for some kind of a Christmas sentiment. Everything else is provided in the kit, so that one's pretty easy. This one, again, you're going to need a black stamp pad. Again, I use the Memento Tuxedo black, and then 1 sentiment. And I use the Thanks, and this is from the hand-penned stamp set. So if you want to use that one, if you have that stamp set, you can. Otherwise, just grab whatever sentiment you have. This one, again, the Memento Tuxedo black, and then a small sentiment. And I used the Feel Better Friend from the hand pen set. You will also need some markers if you'd like to color this in. You're certainly welcome to leave it as black and white. And I used Heather Highland blends. But you could use Fresh Freesia markers, or Highland Heather markers, or any kind of a lighter purple will work. If you do not have markers, you could also use the blending brush and the Fresh Freesia or the Highland Heather ink pad, and then just ink it up that way and get your color in that way. You'll be able to, if you have this little stamp set that goes with this punch, then you'll want to punch, or you'll want to stamp that with the black. If you don't, you can just leave that plain. I kind of don't think too many of you have that one. So anyway, those are the things that you'll need for that project. This one, you will need, if you have the Jar of Flowers stamp set, and I know a lot of you do because we used it in one of our virtual classes last year. That will be helpful. This is Magenta Madness stamp or ink. If you have that, and that was from last year's 2020 to 2022 in colors, so I know a lot of you have it. If you don't, Polished Pink will sub out pretty well. And if you don't have that, then just grab some pink that you have and use that. Also, my stamp set on this is the Shaded Summer, and then I use the coordinating dies with that. You're just going to get a piece of solid, very vanilla cardstock, and so you'll have to sub something else if you don't have the Shaded Summer. This is Shaded Summer. Most everyone has some sort of flowers. So These flowers will fit very well if you don't have shaded summer. You'll just have to fussy cut them. The hand pen, this would hang out really nice over the vase. There's lots and lots of options on this one, so I don't think you'll have a problem. And you also need a sentiment. And I made this into a birthday card, but you can use whatever sentiment you want. Okay, and then this one, I used gray granite ink. And the Feels Like Home stamp set. This is one of the Celebration stamp sets too. So I don't think too many of you have that, but don't worry about that. You just need a little sentiment and then some sort of an image to fit in here. And if you don't have gray granite, crumb cake ink will look really good with this. Basic gray will look really good with this. Any browns or anything like that. And then worst case scenario, black. Okay, so these will be fairly easy for you to come up with supplies. I like to stamp on the paper piercing mat. So if you have a mat and you like to stamp on that, I would recommend it. You'll need dimensionals. You'll need a pair of scissors or paper snips. You'll need glue dots, and you'll need some sort of an adhesive. And I like to use the liquid glue. So let's get started. We're going to start out with this project right here. Let me put these away and grab my supplies. Okay, so when you open your kit, it'll be the very vanilla envelope that you'll need. And I've already pre-embossed this. And then you're going to find 2 pieces of smaller very vanilla. And you're going to find one of these and one of these, and then a sprig punch and the little jar and a bow, and then a little piece of, this is from the Penguin Playtime DSP from the Celebrations mini catalog. So let's put this to the side, and we'll start by assembling this little layer to the side. So if you use the liquid glue, just remember not to go all the way to the edge with it because it does seep over and then it'll be on your project. Always store your glue upside down and leave the cap on it when you're not using it. If you don't leave the cap on it, it dries up down at the tip and then it becomes hard to work with. So put the lid back on it when you're not using it. Okay, we'll let that sit there. Okay, now you have this Just Jade layer and you have this layer, so we glue these 2 together. Speaking of that, as I'm looking at this, I'm realizing that you know what else you could do is you could use a green stamp pad, and maybe like ferns or some herbs would be cute popping out of this if you don't want to use the pinky color. All right, we've got that kind of lined up. So let me grab my ink pad and my sentiments and my stamp, and you'll see what I'm going to do with the rest of this. This over here for a second. I'll go ahead and glue this to this side. So you'll want to be careful when you glue this over here that you don't go more than about halfway because this is open here. This is just kind of a fun little different cut. So you don't want glue over here. Okay, so let's put that there. Let me grab my pad and my stamps. Okay, so I am using the Magenta Madness. And I know most of you have that from the In Color class last year. But if you don't, Polished Pink will sub out. I'm going to make this one a thank you card. So stamp that there. And then this is where I'm going to stamp the floral image. And I am using the image from the Shaded Summer. But like I said earlier, if you don't have this one, the Jar of Flowers will sub out real easy. Okay, let me put these stamps away and ink. just realized I need to stamp the jar too. So if you do have the jar of flowers, then you will want to stamp it as well. And I just realized my stamp fell off the block. That's not cool. Now, if you don't have the jar of flowers, you could just go through and add a little maybe shading with the blender brush or with a sponge, or maybe even just some black marks around with a marker. Okay, we've got that done. So let's talk about what comes next. All right, so we're going to take this punch out and we're going to cut it in half. And then we're going to layer it behind whatever sentiment you've chosen. So a little ink on, or a little bit of glue on each side. Like that. And then just let a little layer kind of peek out of both sides. Okay, we're going to let that all set there. Let that kind of dry and set up. This here. So if you have the Shaded Summer stamp set and you do not have the framelits, you could fussy cut this, or if you're using flowers from the jar of flowers, you could fussy cut those. If you have the framelits, these are the Summer Shadows dies, then you'll want to die cut your image now. These dies are part of the SALE-a-brations promotion, so they are available with a $100 order. So I know some people have gotten those, but I don't know who has what. But if you have it, then you can use it. And I'm going to use the little mini. Looks like my plates aren't all here. All right, so we'll run this through the mini cut and emboss. Now here's a little trick you might not know about. I'm going to actually attach a Post-it note to kind of help this stay in place. I don't know if you can see that on camera. See if I can move it around a little bit. I think you can see that now, right? Okay, let me hold this on here. I was just trying to look on my laptop and see how good the visibility was here. Okay, we'll run this through here. Get this die cut. All right, there we go. Okay, that goes like that. The video isn't coming up on my laptop, so maybe I should. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm concerned that this is not coming up well. And, well, it looks like it is. So I guess I'll finish and keep my fingers crossed. Okay, so got that down, that down. Okay, so we're going to put a couple dimensionals behind the jar. And then we'll put a couple more dimensionals behind this. Now, we don't want to put any dimensionals up here because that's going to hang off if you're using this stamp set. It might end up hanging off over the top, so be careful with that. And then I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of the sprig punch. Okay, you're just coming up on my laptop just fine, so I don't know, my laptop was acting crazy for a minute there, and it concerned me that maybe I wasn't even recording. We'll stick that there. All right, a couple more dimensionals, and we'll adhere the sentiment to the jar. Okay, and then last but not least is your bow. And I kind of put mine on a little crooked just to give it a little slant, but you can do whatever you want. Okay, so that is what it looks like all finished. Cute, huh? All right, let's move on. This out of the way here so I can move on. And we will work on this card next. Okay. And when you open this one, be a little careful. There is a little bow in there. Okay, let me grab my stamps and ink. Okay, on this one I've used the Sentiment Missing You. And I'm going to use a different sentiment on this one. Okay, so this is, if you're going to be using this one, Feels Like Home. It's very, very detailed. So lay it on its back. And I see that I'm bumping my camera. I'm sorry. Try to go a little bit slower here. And ink it up really well. And then just kind of center it up in the white piece. A lot of pressure because it does have all that little detail on it. Yay. And then my sentiment goes in the middle of the white oval. Okay. All right, so then this gets glued to the granite gray piece. Okay, and then this goes across the bottom of the image. And I kind of wanted to keep as much of the image as possible showing, so I put it close to the bottom. You can use a glue dot to adhere it back here, or you can cheat like I'm doing and use a piece of Scotch tape. My hands have gotten so they don't like the glue dots as well as they used to. So the Scotch tape's been working fairly well for me. All right, and then this kind of just gets mounted off to the side. I did use dimensionals. Let me close up my stamp pad and put my ink stuff away so that I don't end up with something falling into the ink and having a different problem. All right, so 4 dimensionals, 1 on each corner. And then we'll put our sentiment kind of off to the side here. And again, using a couple of dimensionals. and then a glue dot for the little bow. And on this one, the bow is so tiny, you kind of have to squish the glue dot a little bit so it's not quite so big. So just kind of pinch it. And then we'll put that back there. And then all right, and then we'll just adhere that to the white, the basic white card piece. Okay. All right, so that is that one. The colors in this might lend to a really nice masculine card or even a sympathy card. All right, let's move on to the next one. And that's going to be this card. And when you open this one, be careful. There are going to be some black matte dots in your kit. So there's 4 of them total. So you'll find a little strip with 4 on them. And so it'll look like this. And then you'll find a lot of little pieces. So your ribbon, a black flower punch, a black scalloped punch, this, a little tiny white for your sentiment, and then that. So let's start by attaching the ribbon, and then we can set this to the side. So I mounted everything in the middle, so just kind of center up your ribbon into the middle. You can use a glue dot or a piece of Scotch tape to hold that down back there. Okay, and then we'll use our glue. My flowers are upside down. Hello. This is the Pretty Flowers embossing folder. It's a new one in the annual catalog. Okay, so we will leave that sitting over there for a few minutes while we finish up the other parts. So I'm going to go ahead and color these in. Let me grab my blends. So I'm using the dark and the light Highland Heathers. If you have the purple posy ones, that would work too, or the fresh freesia. So we'll start out with light. And like I said, you can use markers, or you could sponge in, or you could use the blending brush with one of the purple stamp pads. Fresh freesia would look good. Highland Heather if you have it. Okay, one thing about the blends that I really like is it's a watercolory effect, so you really don't need to fill in every nook and cranny. I'm going to leave it loose and even a bit messy. It's okay to go outside of the lines when you're watercoloring. Okay, and so we'll add a little bit of shading in with the dark blend, and I'm just going to go over the areas here. And I'm not going to proclaim to be the best color out there, so some of you will probably do a way better job than me. Okay, let's put those away. And now what you're going to do is glue that to that. So we'll actually go over the floral section. And just around the edge there. attach that to that. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side for a minute and let it kind of dry. We'll get our sentiment, and then we'll line those up. So I have quite a few feel-good cards or get well, so I'm going to go ahead and do just for you on this one, and then I can make it a birthday or whatever I need to later. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the little flower. And that flower is from Flowers of Friendship. That's the name of the stamp set that comes from. Okay, I got everything stamped, so I'm going to put that away really quick. And start gluing and assembling. Okay, so we'll take the white sentiment and glue it to the black. And then we'll take the black and glue it to the Highland Heather. And then I kind of offset them. And then this should be about done here. So I'm going to take these paper snips. You can, if you have the Take a Pick tool, that works good for these too. And just move these little dots. We'll put one in the middle of this. And then, there we go. Okay. All right, let's get the card base back here. And we'll start going to town with the dimensionals. So let's start out by putting the main focal piece on with 2 dimensionals. Put that over there. And then we'll put the sentiment piece on with 2 more dimensionals. And then we'll just put the flower on. Okay, and then I like to kind of bend these flowers up a little bit, just to give them a little dimension. And you can leave them flat if you'd like. Okay, that is that one. Okay, our next one is going to be this one. And when you open it up, be a little bit careful. You're going to find the little red bow and then this little white piece that came out of here. Don't be concerned about that because this is going to go on top of it. And then you have a white liner because this is on a black card base. So it's, unless you have a chalk marker, it's very hard to sign your name. And if you want to stamp on the inside, you need a white craft pad. Okay, so we've got it lined. Let's set that over to the side for a second. Let's get our sentiments out. And I use the Thanks from Hand pinned on this one and the Memento, the Tuxedo Black Memento pad. You can use whatever you'd like, and you could even do red on this if you didn't want to do black. This DSP is the Beautifully Pinned from the SALE-a-brations catalog. Okay, and it goes together really quickly, as you can see. And you can put whatever side of the paper you would like showing. You can do the scallop slide if you prefer. I am a big floral girl, so I kind of like to use all the floral sides, but it's your project, so do what you would like. Kind of center that up. And then it's offset on the card base. Okay, then this goes on 2 dimensionals, 1 on either side. And then we've got our red bow, and we'll just stick that on a glue dot and attach it on the corner there of the thank you. So you've got a black and white card with a pop of red. Kind of cute. Okay, all right, and so that is that one. Okay, last but not least is our Christmas card. I mail out about 100 Christmas cards a year, so I really like to get started on my Christmas cards early. So this is our second one, I think. We did one last month too. There's a lot of little things inside this one, so be careful when you open it up. One of the main things that's going to hide from you is this little red rhinestone for the nose on the reindeer. You have 2 pieces of ribbon. One is short and one is long. I'll explain that in a minute. You have these really cool snowflakes. Those are in the new mini catalog. And you have some circle dies. Oh, this one has 2 in there. I'm not sure why there's 2 in there. Okay. Where did my glue go? All right, so we'll start out by gluing the Peaceful Prince DSP. This is also from the Celebrations catalog. Yeah, one of my favorite papers. And again, you can use whatever side you'd like. Use the snowflake or the plaid, whatever is your favorite. To the black layer. The card goes this way, so it opens this way. And then we'll glue that to the card base. Okay, now lots of little things going on here. We're going to glue the snowflake to the middle of the black circle. The circles were all cut from the Layering Circles die. Oh, I just realized I don't have a reindeer. I swear to goodness, I was cutting reindeer like crazy last night. Okay, I'm going to have to deal with that here in a second. Okay, and I need my sentiment and my black pad. Okay, and the stamp set I used for my sentiments on this one is the Reindeer Stamp Set from the latest mini catalog. I'll get it for you in just a second so you can see. So I've got an inside and an outside on here. Okay, all right, so that goes like that, and then the reindeer, so let's put some dimensionals on the back of that. And my snowflake moved a little bit. Yeah, this is what I like about the liquid glue. You can still move things. Okay, so then this goes on top of this. right, this little red gem, we're going to move it over to the end of the reindeer's nose. And again, if you have the Take a Pick tool, that works really great for that. Uh-oh, I just realized we should have put the ribbon on here first. Okay, so the ribbon, I'm going to have to do some winging it here. The ribbon should have gone on underneath this. Sorry about that. And then it should be anchored down underneath. Yeah, I've got this glued down, so I can't do that, but I've got a backup plan. Let me go with my backup plan here. So my backup plan is going to be that we're going to do that, and then we're going to put a little glue dot back behind there. So if you do it before, then you can just wrap it behind and you don't have to do this backup plan. That's the one thing about stamping. There's almost always a backup plan, right? And we'll just trim that off and nobody will be the wiser. Except I did it on camera and you've all seen it. Oh well. This goes across here. So you take the larger one and that one gets wrapped behind. And then this one's your bow. And it's just a soft little knot. And trim the edges. Okay, our sentiment goes up here on a couple of dimensionals. And then that kind of goes down in this corner. All right. Okay, so that is that card. The stamp set that I used is called Peaceful Deer. And that is in the mini catalog. And this little sparkly is from the Bedazzling from the Celebrations mini catalog. I know quite a few of you guys got there. It's really pretty and you just need a little bit. So those are the 5 projects. Let me just put them back on screen so you can get one more look at them. I can't really put them all together. So I will be sending you a photo of them along with the YouTube link. Anyway, you guys, thank you very much for attending this month. I'm still hoping that we can continue virtual as well as in person, kind of probably in the next day or two. I'll kind of look at what the guidelines are and make a decision.